Hey y'all, it's your girl Aaron, and I am now talking about socialism. And what I wanted to do for you today was to talk about the metaphor of the two different islands I've seen used before. So the idea is that it's being used for various reasons, and I'm not using it for what other people use it for. So if you've never heard of it before, don't worry. There's just two islands at this stage. Okay, now let's say each of these islands has all the basic ingredients for people to survive on them. So it has fresh water, it has fertile land and some food to scavenge and places for shelter from the elements and stuff. So there's no it's not like a desert or like a super hostile environment. And the reason for that is because it's more complicated, and we can talk about that maybe at the end. But for now, these are two islands where you have everything you need to live off the land. And so let's say two different people, groups of people show up on these different islands. The socialists arrive on the one island, and the capitalists arrive on the other island. And so as they were starting to get everything together, perhaps they decided that if they divided their labor up, they'd be able to get things done more efficiently. So somebody could be responsible for looking after the farming of certain foods and stuff. Someone else could go and fetch water and make sure that they have good hygiene, and maybe someone else will make furniture, make beds for people, chairs, tables, or cabins or whatever. So you've got all your different things that need to get done for everyone there. And so the people who are on the socialist island, what they would do is they would do something which is called collectivism, but it's also called unionizing. And the idea is that a group of people who have a similar position, they can decide that if they work together as a team, they can benefit more than if they go at things on their own. And so you do get this in capitalism. You get unions in capitalism where workers are banding together and trying to demand better working conditions and wages and stuff from their employees, and they will do collective bargaining where it's like we are all going to go on strike, for example, if we don't get what we feel we are worth, and that kind of thing. And so within capitalism, people do unionize, but I'm not talking about that kind of union on the island. I'm talking about, in a more general and abstract sense of the word union, of people joining together in unity, and doing that because of getting things together for common interest. And now the capitalists are also going to be forming a version of this. It's not, but in this case, what the socialists are doing is they are forming this union, this collective of people, and they're saying to themselves, all of us need food, all of us need water, and all of us need shelter. And if we are all going to have a good life, then why don't we each provide these things for each other as we have the ability to? One person is good with woodwork, they have the ability to make the furniture, they go ahead and do that. Someone is good with plants, they do the farming, and someone is good with hiking, so they can go to the river or whatever it is. So everyone has their own skills, but then they help each other out, and the person who makes furniture doesn't have to grow food or get water, and in that way they help each other out. And so the socialists do this, and they basically just build this very bare bones economy or whatever, where they're doing things for each other, but they're not charging each other money, and they're not trading. The dude with water isn't being like, if you don't give me food, then I'm not going to bring you water, because in the socialist union, what's important isn't getting your worth, but that everybody is doing well. And so if someone drops their ball, then everyone else in the union would want to try and cover up for the lack that is introduced in that via themselves getting involved and helping, trying to re-establish the production of the missing thing that they need. So anyway, on the capitalist island, they have the exact same situation where they decide, you know what, things will be better if we work together for our own benefits, and what we're going to do is we're going to work together, but instead of doing it for free, instead of doing it just because we need each other, what we're going to do is we're going to have a bartering system where if you bring your specific item of worth, then you get another item in return. And so they divide it the same way, and they say, okay, everybody needs, let's say, 10 liters of water a day, everybody needs, say, a kg of food a day, and everybody needs a new piece of furniture every month. And so they work it out, they say, okay, 10 liters a day for 30 days is 300 liters, and 1 kg of food every day for 30 days is 30 kgs, and one piece of furniture a month. And they say, okay, that's what we need. They try and calibrate it all, and then they go, okay, cool, so now we'll barter for each other. One piece of furniture is worth 30 kgs of food or 300 liters of water, and they go about their different tasks. And let's say the person making furniture, they decide to make 2 tables, right? Now or they decide to make 2 chairs or whatever piece of furniture it is. Now the farmer has a really good harvest, and they harvest not just enough food to feed everyone, but they harvest enough food for more than that. Actually, they have, let's say, the 30 kgs of food for both people, and then another 30 kgs on top of that. And so they say to the person who does the furniture, hey, I'll give you this extra 30 kgs of food if you give me that extra table. They make this trade, and now they are like, yes, now I have 2 tables, I can dry more food and or whatever. And the person making the tables or whatever, they are able to I don't know, use their food as they please. They can I don't know, use it for art or something. They don't even have to eat it all. They only need to eat 30 kgs, or maybe they just really really like having more than they need. I don't know. Anyway, and so now the person who is carrying water, they can't carry more than, say, 10 liters a day. And let's say that the river is 2 hours walk away, so it takes them 4 hours each way. So they need to do 3 trips a day just to have enough water for everyone. They can't add an extra trip a day on to that, so they can't get access to more water to get access to more furniture. And so month goes by. The farmer is now got lots and lots of furniture. The furniture maker has silos full of food that they're not eating, but the person who's fetching the water, they've only got the 1 piece of furniture a day. They've only got just enough food to eat and just enough water to drink. And so you see now there's already like a hierarchy starting to form here. And so you can get deeper and deeper into this metaphor, but I don't want to spend forever on it. My point is just to illustrate that, while they will all be working together, the ones using the barter system, they produce inequality, right? And they might switch to using money because calculating the trading is easy or whatever. Who knows? But the point is that it is a give and take. It is a you only, only what you're able to produce is what you get. If the farmer goes hungry, then let's say there's a drought and the farmer can't produce any food, then the person with the silo would potentially be able to still eat. The person fetching water would still be able to sell their water to the person with the silo, but the person who actually farmed it would be screwed. They could sell their tables or whatever, but like the furniture maker can just make more tables, so why would they want that? So yeah, basically the system is built. The system is built so that the collectivism is conditional on the barter, on exchange, on being able to have something to get something. And so if for whatever reason you end up being unable to produce anything, unable to bring anything to the table, the system itself guarantees your failure, guarantees that you are screwed and that there isn't any way out of that. Now, sure, people might act out of charity to help you, but when they do that, they are acting in contradiction to the value system of their economy. They have already established X is worth X, and now they're giving X for free. And that devalues the things that they would be exchanging, and they can't do it at a massive scale without devaluing it. So the bigger the scale of the problem gets, the less able even charity gets to solve it, because too much charity would cause the whole system to get out of balance and create more inequality and create more people without. Now, on the socialist island, the person with the good harvest, instead of exchanging it for more tables, they would simply say to the person who makes the furniture, they'd be like, hey, I need extra tables to dry my extra harvest or whatever. And the furniture maker would be like, cool, I'll make you an extra table. They can, and they weren't doing anything better with their time, then they make it. And so then the person with the great harvest, they're like, okay, let's store our extra food in a silo, and the drought comes and everybody just shares in eating the food that they've saved in the silo, and there isn't any type of hey, you've got this and I've got this, or hey, you've got that and I don't have that, or what if I give you this for that? It's just like, hey, we all need food, we all need furniture, we all need water. Let's not worry about, keeping a record. Let's not worry about keeping track of who owes what. Let's just help each other out when each other are in need. And if you get a bountiful harvest, there's more food for everyone. And if there's a famine, everyone has to ration. But you sink or float together instead of allowing individual people to sink, so that others can have massive boats that are able to float and hold their own casinos in them or whatever. That's just an exaggeration, but yeah, the idea is that the socialist island, right, they can just have each other's back, and that no matter how difficult things get, no matter how scarce a resource gets or whatever it is, their willingness to help each other out just because there's a need is always going to be better for the people in that society than those in a capitalist society in the similar position. What it doesn't allow is the hoarding. What it doesn't allow is the sense of, now that I have made this exchange, this thing that I've exchanged is my property and I can keep it and it belongs to me and I have a right to it, and I might have 1,000 tons of food, and if you're going hungry, I can just withhold it from you because it's all mine, I own it. And even though I don't need it, and I'm making a claim to it, and you can't do that. Obviously, on the socialist island, everyone has their own food cupboard, and no one's going into each other's food cupboards. But we're talking about from your actual supply, your warehouse or whatever. Like, no one has claim to that. You share in it. So how is it relevant to us living on mainlands and not islands, etc.? Because it would be great if we could try and prove this on a bunch of islands, but first of all, who's buying the islands? And second of all, who's going with me? And third of all, like, who's gonna give us internet, and who's going to protect us from interference from people who don't want these kinds of models being prototyped? So maybe we'll solve all of that, and a lot of people do try to do that, try to start communes, and that's the kind of thing I want to get into. But for most people, you won't easily have access to that opportunity. And so the question becomes, well, how do we apply this to our lives as people living in a city, for example, or whatever? And I would suggest that that sort of union that you make, that can be done with whoever it is. You know, you can use technology to connect with people, to set up relationships of mutual aid, and to try and get to a point of self-sufficiency. Now, you're going to need a lot of farmers, you're going to need a lot of manufacturers, you're going to need metal workers, miners, you're going to need a whole lot before you can actually achieve self-sufficiency. But if you have someone who is, say, a YouTuber getting fully supported on Patreon, for example, or you have someone with a job working a 40-hour week getting a paycheck, that paycheck that they're gaining, they can use that to subsidize some of the needs within that mutual aid network that you aren't able to source from your own resources within the union. And so your union can include people who are working within capitalism, but who have the same vision of creating the society and are basically trying to bankroll the startup, as it were. And the idea is that you would try to build this union and offer your abilities, your services, and whatever you can make to people for free within the union. And the reason why you restrict it is, let's say these two islands had a bridge between them, and there was a famine. The capitalist people, they would just mission over to the socialist island, and because they had the silo available for everyone during the famine, go take food out of the silo, take it back to their place and sell it for profit to get more chairs or water or whatever it is they want. Without, they would just be parasitical on the socialists, because the socialists would be doing it for free, but the capitalists wouldn't be giving their stuff back into the system for free. And that's why you do need to isolate this economy, this union of people producing. You need to isolate it from capitalist influences and from people who are going to take what you do and try and profit off it in a capitalist way. If you can confine it to only people putting it back into the system, whether through subsidizing by having jobs or selling stuff, whatever, or by directly making stuff for the people in the union or providing services for the people in the union, but you keep it to just the people in the union have access to that free services, and you charge capitalists if they want for those services. And that way, those in the union immediately benefit just from being in the union by having access to all of that stuff, and none of the things they need are going to be gate-kept from them. And so you immediately have access to all of this, and all you have to do to be part of that, all that's expected of you in return, is to put back into the system and not take out and try and profit externally from it. And that is how you can have an island of people inside a population of people who are working for each other's benefits, a union. And that is the kind of collectivism we need if we are to see the end of capitalism. It isn't through taking over the capitalist islands and regulating the exchanges so that everyone is forced to sell at certain prices, or everyone gets taxed and then you use forget all that nonsense. Just everybody working together to help each other and using technology to help the admin of it and the administration and the, making sure nobody gets left out. Your technology can help with people making requests or mentioning if they are in need, etc., and who wants to fulfill that need can use that technology as well. And that is the kind of technology I think we need, and I actually want to write software like that. So if you are someone who wants software like that to exist, feel free to support me on Patreon, because when I can eventually quit my day job, then I will spend a large portion of my time working on that software, because I believe that that is one of the ways we can actually bring about socialism, is by creating the tools that people need to implement those unions of socialist economic practices amongst each other. And you might be able to do the admin yourself using like paper and pen if you want, but ultimately it's not going to be something that gains mass adoption until it is got the tools it needs, that it is really easy. And it can even be easier to do stuff than within capitalism, because there's no transaction. It's like, hey, you're a union member, cool, here's the thing you need, or whatever. And obviously people providing services are not forced to do so. They still have the right to deny access, but if someone feels they're being unfairly denied, then you would have to bring that up at a union meeting of some sort and have some kind of way of bringing up issues and having a sort of self-critical approach to it, where real concerns get assessed and you adjust things and you make a plan together. And so yeah, it is going to be difficult to do that because it requires trust. You have to trust people enough not to take advantage, but ultimately that is the world we're talking about achieving, a world where you can trust a stranger. A world where you cannot trust a stranger is a world that can't implement socialism. And capitalism creates distrust amongst people. So if you can find people you can trust, this kind of economy and working together like this is going to strengthen those bonds of trust. And that'll be a good model for people to follow of, hey, this, having that trust built, So don't just trust anyone, but finding people you can trust and having the trust built is worth it, because it is a replacement to the stranger danger of capitalism. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm curious as to any thoughts you might have on that. And yeah, cheers, bye.